X.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 100.
Yay.
My name is Evan Lewis.
Yay, Evan.
I am, of course, joined by Leo Andri.
That was a very good, WCW Monday Nitro.
That's what I'm going for. And Joe Letovsky.
Hi.
The Maulin Minnesotan, or the ne'er-do-well Dakotan.
Episode's falling apart.
Yep, it is. That's it. Canceled? Nope, that's not true. We're still going. Yes, this is episode 100, finally, after lots of delaying tactics of different content being put out. We're finally here.
Of several not episode 100.
Exactly. They weren't. They were not episode 100. This is. Now then. My train of thought is completely gone because I was so wrapped up in the whole Michael Buffer thing. Okay, so let's talk about... Actually, I don't know.
Is that guy's name? Michael Buffer?
Yeah, Michael Buffer is the Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Bruce Buffer is the UFC one. They are brothers.
I just know him as Monday Nitro guy.
Yeah,
that's his name.
Monday Nitro guy.
Name.
I think that's his ring name. Yeah.
I mean, they had the Monday Nitro girls who danced around.
Oh my gosh,
and then
I
they
remember
had
that.
the Monday Nitro guy who said, "Let's get ready to rumble."
He sure did, and he gets paid a lot of money. I think they even copyrighted that phrase.
Yeah, I think he gets paid every time somebody says that. Like just now when you said that.
Lawyers swoop out and steal money from your pockets.
Yeah, no, you didn't say rumble. You said let's get ready to trumble, because that's a word. But people who have the final word, and who will have the final word tonight, actually, are the most wonderful folks in the land, and those are our patrons over at patreon.com. I'm still doing the voice. And we wanted to make this a very special episode. And rather than...
That's the episode where we talk about drug abuse. It's a very special
it's
episode
very special.
of the Jodo Cast.
And after school episode of the Jodo Cast.
Joe has been drinking beer.
Uh-oh. It's the, what was it, Monster in a Bottle? Iron Man? my co-host Leo's a junkie. Well, that was Green Arrow.
I thought
wasn't
we were
it?
gonna have the talk with our listeners.
Ooh. Well,
You ever wonder what that's
when
like in
there's-
the Jedi Temple?
When a senator and a Jedi love each other very much.
yeah, no, they don't have the talk at the Jedi Academy. They just tell you that it doesn't exist.
What if they were using protection, but Anakin is just too powerful?
You just punch straight through.
Like, what can I say? Chosen one.
Oh my goodness. You know, I was trying to talk about the patrons who make this, what you've just heard. They make it happen. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you can go to patreon.com/thejodocast and see how those wonderful people help us and the different ways we say thank you to them. And if you're gun shy about going to patreon.com by way of typing it, you can go to jodocast.com, our very own website, and follow the link to the Patreon from there, as well as to our Discord, where you can find us. I'm barely being facetious, about 24/7, talking with other cool folks just like you about all manner of things, Star Wars and non-Star Wars gaming and non-gaming alike. Oh, but I was saying that we wanted to make this a very special episode, And rather than trying to make something really bombastic and huge with like crazy exclusive news and breaking interviews, we thought we would put the spotlight on the folks that help us. So we sent out questions to our patrons to find out a little bit more about them. And we wanted to share their stories with everybody else. Because those patrons are the ones that make our little world go round. And I am going to try to talk to some other folks who have helped us out in the past and who continue to help us either with video editing or with, being at conventions with us, all those kinds of things, because there are way more people than just us three who contribute to making this venture successful. And those are the people that deserve the spotlight on this, in air quotes, 100th episode, because we have done a lot more than just 100, and those patrons have helped make every single second possible. So, in a little bit, we are going to talk about those questions and hear from the patrons, but first, we're going to talk about what we've been playing, and then we will answer our own questions before we get to those awesome patrons. And we didn't get a response from everybody, but if there are patrons who forgot to send us their answers, I would certainly be happy to get them afterwards.
And I would like
maybe
to
we'll play
say,
them, maybe we won't.
If for people who maybe don't want to hop on our Patreon, on jodocast.com, there's a feedback link that is very helpful to us. Because we want to know what you want us to know.
I hope they know. You're right. We haven't talked about that as much. We certainly want to get the pulse of what listeners like and what they don't like. If we do segments that you particularly enjoy that we don't do enough, we want to know that also, because we certainly have ones that are near and dear to our hearts, and maybe those are not the ones that you like, but maybe, who knows, but do come to the website, jodocast.com, feedback button at the top. And then once you finish that, come to the Discord, because it's the coolest place in town. And with that, and one of the things that you get to do as a patron, just one of the things, is that you get to listen in on live recordings. And while I didn't tell everyone that we're recording, I'm going to do that right now, because we love it when people listen in.
Get in air quotes. You
You
get to listen to
the privilege.
To all the extra rambling that Evan edits out of our episodes.
You know what? That just adds to the authenticity. So, with that, I think that's all the housekeeping. Let's talk about what we've been playing. I'll go first, because compared to you two, it's probably not been a whole lot. I have had the privilege of once again playing weekly RPGs. Actually, over the past month or so, it was multiple times per week. There were a couple weeks where it was 2 or 3 in a given week. And it wasn't Star Wars, but it's the same group that I'd done Star Wars with quite a bit. So we may come back to that. But it was some Call of Cthulhu, it was some D&D, so I got to play, I've gotten to run. It's always a super good time. And there's one of our patrons just now, one of my RPG compatriots, jumping in to listen to us. So yes, just talking about all of the RPGing that we've been doing lately, which is one of those things where it's just like, do you think we're ever going to play again? And it's like 2 or 3 in a given week. So that's very cool. We'll get back to some Edge of the Empire one of these days. In fact, one of our people, Kate, who you may have heard on PKM, Padawan Knight and Master, she's been saying, I want to get back to my Wookiee, because I can't remember if it's a he or a she, but her Wookiee character was just a badass, could hack into anything, and then tore people limb from limb. So basically won the game by herself. It's not an exaggeration. A great Wookiee. That's exactly what we call her. A true hero to the Republic. How about Leo?
Let's see. I guess since we last talked about it, I ran another Legion tournament at our local store and won. I don't know. I feel
and you
kinda
won
bad
it?
about running and winning the tournament. It's not my fault. I'm just better.
Exactly. And I mean, since you say that, not just that you're better, but it sounds like you've been doing pretty darn well with old Legion.
Yeah, pretty good. I feel like I grasp Legion better than like I did with X-Wing or some of the other games. I still enjoy X-Wing, but yeah, I feel like I get how to play Legion better.
You grok it.
Yes, I grok it. So I won that. It wasn't it wasn't a huge tournament. There was 8 of us, 6 of us. It wasn't too bad. And got my ass kicked at X-Wing the other night, so I've been flying a really bad decimator list.
Is it just 2 decimators?
No, it's a decimator, a Reaper, and then just a TIE fighter to fill up some points. But I just threw a bunch of... Well, I think I could make it better if I got rid of the Gonk droid. Like, I mostly put a Gonk droid on there just because I was like, Gonk droid.
I mean, that sounds reasonable.
But he don't actually do a lot with him. Like, I only get to use his shield regenerating ability, like, once a game. And I just don't think it's worth it. So, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing the Decimator. I tried it out a couple times just to see how it plays in 2.0. I don't like it myself. However, I'm considering buying a couple more Reapers. I really like the TIE Reaper a lot. I think honestly the TIE Reaper has probably been my favorite Imperial ship so far in 2.0. So,
and I'm trying to remember when that came out. That was towards the end of first edition, but it was before the Saw's Saw's box set.
I forget it. Actually, I forget if it was before or after, but it was one of the ones that came with 2.0 components in it also.
Ooh,
so it was right at the very end.
Yeah.
But that also kind of bothers me because the color for the dials is actually different in that. So my TIE Reaper has a slightly different color. Like it's a gray, like more of like a true gray, whereas all the stuff that came in the conversion kit is like a bluish gray. So that annoys me. That my dial's a different color.
And you're not going to invest in one of those fancy schmancy dials. Like if you want it, you might use it. But
they seem like they would be fun to play or to paint up and do cool stuff with. Like I see on Facebook in some of like the X-Wing like painting and modding groups, people do really cool stuff with their dial holder things, and I'm always kind of jealous.
I guess I hadn't seen that. I'd seen people doing things with like range rulers for either that or for like Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is that it for you?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Yep. Haven't got a chance to play any Destiny lately. I guess I did do one draft of the new set. I can't remember if I talked about that or not. But that's it.
Okay, Joe.
Been playing a lot of Battlefront 2 on my PC lately, online, and been playing through the campaign. People may or may not know that we've been putting up some campaign videos. Leo and I did some... I'm playing the campaign, and he's just kind of being forced to watch me do it.
Heckling?
Just kind of complaining about it.
So that's been fun. And there's some videos up on YouTube of me playing Battlefront while Leo and I talk about it. A new Legion League started, and I won that game with a really dumb list full of vehicles. Land Speeder, Air Speeder, 3 ATRTs, 3 troopers with astromech droids, and a generic leader, and I barely won. Got in a game of Imperial.
What did you play against that list won?
He had an ATST, an assault tank, Veers, Death Trooper, and 3 Stormtroopers, all with various upgrades.
Yeah, it seems like not the best list.
It was.
I mean,
I got smoked. I didn't even get close to hurting his tank or his ATST. I killed Veers. I only killed 1 squad of Stormtroopers. All of his other troopers were just whittled down but not dead. So I think the 1 Stormtrooper squad is the only thing I killed completely. But it was Long March, Breakthrough, and my guys were just sprinting the whole way. Like, my commander did nothing the entire game except take 2 move actions a turn. That was the entire game for him. And this Land Speeder made it to the back, so I won because he was kind of tied up fighting me near the other side of the map. Played some Imperial Assault. Got a new video in the pipeline that's coming out sometime for those of you who like our Imperial Assault videos.
Is it more skirmish?
Yep.
Is it more themed skirmish?
There's no Spectre Cell anywhere to be seen. It's not particularly themed. It's not that theme's operational, but it is us building a little bit more out of the box teams just because it's for whatever. It's for entertainment, not practice, not nothing. Played some RPG because we played Clumsy and Random recently.
Oh, that's right.
That was a lot of fun. I love Clumsy and Random. If you haven't heard that, go check your podcast feed because Clumsy and Random episode 4 is out, in which a Grand Moff gets interviewed on a podcast.
Yes, Leo, did you get a chance to listen to that?
I haven't yet. That sounds amazing, though.
It was so bizarre because all 3 of us players wound up with normal characters that actually made sense to be together. So it was very off-brand.
But it was still very wacky.
It was almost a sensical episode.
Almost. Hijinks certainly ensued. I think that's it. Battlefront, Legion, Imperial Assault, RPG. I haven't played X-Wing in a while. I'm going to play some X-Wing this weekend. Make a new video.
So it was actually easier for you to pick out which ones you hadn't played than which ones you had played.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, I'm glad you're here to tell us these things. All right, so that's what we've been playing. So now we're going to ask our own selves very introspective questions, the same questions that we asked of our patrons. So as we are answering each question, we will have the patrons pre-recorded introduce themselves, and then they will provide each of their answers to each of the questions. So with that, let's get on with it. Get on with it. Get on with it.
It's like, there's some cartoon movie where some guy shouts that, and I can't remember what.
It's Monty Python
No,
and the Holy Grail.
No, there's a different movie I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Isn't
I'll
there
give you
like
some time.
No, I'm never gonna
like a fight kind of thing too, where just somebody's like, "Let's get it out."
What is she proposing? That's my
I think
favorite
Leo is.
background character shouts something line ever.
I think Leo was thinking of the
MXC?
judge / referee. No, from Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh. That makes me think of the captain from
I've-
MXC.
I've watched-
Let's get it on.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Maybe it would be more likely to be MXC than Celebrity Deathmatch. I think I've watched Celebrity Deathmatch like once in my life.
Really?
I've never
Oh
seen
my
it.
gosh.
I have, however, seen every episode of MXC. They're all on YouTube.
Okay. So, question number 1
Uno.
Eins.
for all of our international listeners.
Hold on.
What was-
You know what? We'll be inclusive. Let me go to translate. We'll go English.
Each.
1.
Question each.
Yeah.
And I want to put it into... I know we have a Canadian listener. Nope.
So we got to put it in French.
Canadian French.
No, just Canadian. I think... Okay, so that would be 1.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay,
What
good
about
job.
What about the British people?
Ein. That's for our Dutch listener. I think we got someone from Finland.
Yep.
What, is it Finland?
I'm going to say yes.
I mean, it could be Norway or Sweden. We might have to cover all our bases. And I feel bad
I'm-
because
just go for
probably
it.
be mad. This probably doesn't even.
Well, I'm
need
sure
to
they would be.
Stay in the episode.
I mean, that's like confusing a Minnesotan with a Wisconsinite.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, don't.
Yksi. There we go. Question Yksi.
Are you satisfied?
Now, be sure to let us know just how bad.
Hey, I did my best to imitate Google speaking it to me.
Oh my goodness.
Yksi. That's what Google sounded like.
This is getting worse. All right. In any event, question the first. What was your introduction to Star Wars video games? Leo.
Oh, I think my very first Star Wars video game I ever played has to be probably The Empire Strikes Back on the Game Boy is the oldest one that I can think of.
Really?
Yes, on the original, chunky boy Game Boy.
Wow,
That's-
I didn't realize there was an Empire Strikes Back for that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when that would have been. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I played that before I would have played, like Rebel Assault or any of those on my PC. Yeah. I'm gonna say Empire Strikes Back on the Game Boy. I'm pretty sure that is what it was.
Wrong. The judges say the answer is.
All right, Joe. Then tell us what's the
I
truth.
feel like I've got the way he phrased it made it sound like there was a right or wrong answer that like somebody else was going to confirm.
Well, I mean, obviously there is a right or a wrong answer. I just
feel
don't
like
remember
my
what it is.
introduction to Star Wars games is a little bit more of a gray area because
okay.
the oldest game I can remember being exposed to was Shadows of the Empire on N64, but I don't think I ever played it. My brother and I would go and play my uncle's N64 and we'd play Mario Kart all the time. But there was also Shadows of the Empire. But my brother, I would like watch him play it for a little bit until he got sick of it and we'd go back to Mario Kart. Jump ahead, I watched my cousin play Bounty Hunter on his PS2 and Knights of the Republic on his PS4. But I'm trying to think the first Star Wars video game that I actually owned and played. And I think that was either Star Wars Trilogy Apprentice of the Force on Game Boy Advance or Battlefront 1. One of those two. I think they came out around the same time. No, this one came out in they both came out in 2004, so I'm not sure which I had first. But I feel like those were the two games that I actually had first, or that I had myself. That I wasn't just watching other people play.
Sometimes I forget about our age difference until you say something like that. And then I'm just like, that's right.
Well, I remember when George asked me, have you heard of these video games? And I said, yeah, you know what, George, I'd be willing to give it a shot. And that was my exposure, my first time.
Wow.
That was back in 1987.
My first Star Wars video game, if you want to talk about being old, I distinctly remember playing and not understanding how anything was supposed to work on vector graphic Star Wars.
Yeah. See, I was trying to think of when I actually used to have that on my old Windows 3.1 PC.
Mm-hmm.
But that was another contender for one of the first ones, but I don't think it was.
So I don't know if this counts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember the little handheld games with the LCD screens?
Oh,
because I had a bunch of those.
Sadly,
I'm looking at a Star Wars Millennium Falcon Challenge one, and it had looks like date of 1997 on it. I distinctly remember having that one and killing Boba Fett is like a little mini boss and being like, "That's not how it happened." Because apparently I was expecting these little LCD games to be canonical. Also had the
I honestly had forgot about those, but I think that now that you say that, that might have been the first for me technically. I think I had, I forget if it was I know it was just you were Luke with a lightsaber, but that's all I remember.
And I should qualify my answer, that vector graphic Star Wars was when I was very little, but I didn't own it or play it for extended periods of time. I think the first one that I played for multiple hours was just a rental of Super Star Wars, but then got Rebel Assault for the 3DO, and I would had it on a big TV and put a chair sitting right smack up in front of the TV with the headphones plugged, because they had the headphone jack in the controller, so they were ahead of their time. And just have the music in my ears. I'm sitting there just getting all into it and looking back on Rebel Assault. I mean, that's not a great one.
See, now if we're gonna say that, because for me, so that Empire Strikes Back Game Boy game is, I never owned the Game Boy myself. It was my buddy, when he would let me play it on the bus ride to school and stuff like that. But the first one I owned and played the shit out of at home was also Rebel Assault, only PC instead of 3DO. In fact, to this day, I still remember the birthday that it happened at. I mean, I remember my birthday. I got that game, and I got a Wing Commander Academy. But we fired up Rebel Assault first, and me and all my friends who were there, they gathered around the computer just to watch me fail miserably at the run through Beggar's Canyon, because I did not have a joystick yet. And flying Rebel Assaults without a joystick, so hard. Trying to fly it with your mouse was damn near impossible. So it's the game that also prompted me to. It was the first time I had to beg my parents to buy me a peripheral for the computer too.
Well, you certainly would have needed that for X-Wing.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? This is Craig. I go by Cody Man on the JodoCast Discord channel. And I wanted to tell you guys congratulations on your 100th episode. On to the questions. What was your introduction to Star Wars video game? The first game I remember playing was X-Wing, and I remember the brutality of ITOD 1 Mission 4 and the constantly exploding medical frigate. That sold me basically for life.
This is Havoc Hobby, patron to the Jodo cast. What was your introduction to Star Wars video games? My introduction to Star Wars video games would have been the original Star Wars Battlefront games, 1 and 2, from 2005 and before, if I've got my launch dates correct.
Hey, I'm Kurt / Mythical Mothman. What was your introduction to Star Wars video games? The first game I ever played was Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and I was so bad I had to use cheat codes all the time, but it was still so fun exploring those environments, seeing those aliens, and listening to the music. Loved it.
Hi there, my name is John, aka The Beard 1808. What was your introduction to Star Wars video games? The Episode 1 Racer Trial on PC that we were able to install on my dad's work computer. It had 3 tracks and 7 racers, and we had a great time with it. And then once we got the full game, we had an even better time.
Hello, this is me recording this for episode 100. My name is Christian Sorrell. Some listeners of the Jodo cast may know me as Gilder on A Clumsy and Random. I think I've been on, I know I've been on a few more times to talk as well. Let me follow the prompts so that you guys can edit it all beautifully. So, Christian Sorrell. I'm Meat Castle on the I'm Meat Castle on the Discord. What was your introduction to Star Wars video games? I do not know off the top of my head, I do not know, but I'm sure that these are all out of order and jumbled. But when I think back to really early, I'm thinking mostly my Star Wars games experiences are like Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64, the arcade game that had like the single joystick where you fought Vader under Cloud City and all those kind of things at a local movie theater, and things like Yoda Stories that I actually think I played on PC, not the Game Boy version. I think most people probably played. So some not great games in the Pantheon, but they, I was looking for just about anything I could find at that point in Star Wars, so they did the trick.
Hi, this is Seth Glynn, also known as White Fox SG. Here are my questions for the JodoCast 100th episode. First question, what was your introduction to Star Wars video games? And it was the 1994 classic TIE Fighter.
What was?
Do we want it? Well, just to say, I was going to say, do we want to give a lead in to the patrons and just sort of be like, all right, and here's what the patrons had to say?
There you did.
Or
You just did it.
Okay.
I'll just use that same sound snippet every time.
It'll just be like the LeVar Burton, like, don't take my word for it.
Yes. Okay, Joe.
Okay, I've got my little cue card in front of me. Its teleprompter is telling me, what was your introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? Leo.
I thought this should be obvious. It was the Decipher Star Wars CCG.
I mean, it could have been WEG.
It was the first. Oh, you know what? I can't believe. Yeah, you're right. It was the D6 RPG. I've talked about that.
Yeah, I remember
before.
you had a Star Destroyer with a dumb name, and
it was called the Inflammable.
Oh, it's not. I mean, it's
because
it's not a clever name.
It was our white. No, all the other Star Destroyers had like in names: the Invincible, the Indomitable. They were the Inflammable. No, it was our freighter that had the dumb name. That one was the farting duck.
I knew there was a duck in there somewhere. I just can't remember what else it was.
See, I mean, that's like I said. So we started playing this in like 6th grade. So I was, what would I have been, like 11, 12 at the time? So it was like that was the height of humor for 12-year-olds right there.
True story. All right, for me, tabletop games. I'd always seen the West End Games books on the shelves, but Like I might have gotten it from the library one time and flipped through it and not understood a damn word of it. But yeah, I'm going to claim the CCG as my first real tabletop Star Wars game.
See, you could have just done like us and just played the game without understanding a word of it. Like I said, when we started, we actually didn't have any of the books. I just had like random homebrew for the game that I printed off the internet when I would go to my dad's office. So I just had like a Trapper Keeper full of like an entire ream of paper of just like, I mean, like I had homebrew rules for the D6 version of like the Predator and even that I had found somewhere. And we didn't have the books, so we didn't really know the rules. We just knew that you were supposed to roll these D6s. And so that's what we did, and we just made it up until we finally got the books, and we're like, wow, we were doing that all wrong.
Okay, Joe.
I feel like it might have been X-Wing. I didn't play any of the RPGs. I know we played a little bit of the Star Wars D21 in college, but I don't know if that was before or after I got an X-Wing. Because growing up, we didn't have...
Not Star Wars minis from WotC?
Yeah, actually. I think that might have been it. Because
I'm glad I'm here to answer your
my
questions.
Childhood? That's not even my childhood. That's still college. Because growing up, I don't think I had any Star Wars board games. No. Ooh. Yes, I did. We had Star Wars Monopoly, which we never ever finished a game of. But it had cool money. It had cool pewter figures. Like I remember we tried playing it a couple times and then we were like, this is dumb. And I'm proud of us for realizing how dumb Monopoly is.
That is an accurate description of Monopoly.
So proud of me and my brothers for realizing there was better things to do with our time than play Monopoly. But because we had other board games we would play with the family, but we also had Star Wars Monopoly, and that was it. That was the first Star Wars board game I can remember playing. What I can take away from that, besides knowing Monopoly's dumb, is the rule book. On the back of the rule book, it had the whole Arabesh alphabet on the back of the rule book. Because there was like spelling on the money and stuff, but it was just on the back of the rule book. So as a kid, that was like the big takeaway from that whole box was this little booklet with the Arabesh on it that I kept forever. It was just always following me around. But yeah, I think, and then in college I got into Star Wars minis because my buddy was collecting them just to collect them, and then he got me to buy them because that was 2010 when they were canceled, so they were on clearance everywhere.
Yeah.
So then I bought a bunch when they were on clearance, and then we actually got to play it.
January of 2010 was, I think, when the official press release went out that the license was ending. And then, of course, I played my first game of Saga Edition a couple months later.
Saga Edition. Boo.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
What? What's wrong with it?
You know what? It's been so long since I last played it. I don't even remember what I hated about it.
You didn't like that you could survive.
Yeah, there was that stuff. I mean,
I hate living in RPGs.
Oh, man, I loved the hit point / wound point system that the first two editions used.
I mean, they had something like that. It wasn't just straight hit points.
Yeah.
Well, for the historians out there, the exact version of Star Wars Monopoly was Star Wars Limited Collector's Edition from 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it coincided with the release of Special Edition, probably.
Yeah, probably. Hey, patrons, what was your introduction to Star Wars games? On the tabletop. There you go. There's your second
Great.
bumper.
Wonderful.
That was...
Gorsh.
What was your introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? To be quite honest, I've never been able to really play on an actual table. I've just been interested in everything Fantasy Flight does, and when I found Vassal, I started running the mods for X-Wing Minis, and that's basically what I keep playing, and a little bit of Armada, and I play Fly Casual's version of X-Wing Miniatures. I hope someday my wife will let me actually spend a lot of money on minis.
What was your favorite introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? That would have been Star Wars Armada 2 years ago. I haven't had the ability to play it very much because I don't have anyone up in this location who plays it. Sadly.
What was your introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? The first tabletop game I played was the Decipher CCG. Remember seeing people pulling the cards out in the lunchroom in middle school, and the art was so cool. Learned a lot of trivia.
My introduction to Star Wars tabletop games was Star Wars Battleship, although I'm guessing that counts barely since it's just kind of a clone of an existing game.
What was your introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? My introduction to Star Wars tabletop games would have been the old CCG, and I actually didn't know very many people who played it. We were all into Magic, and then Lord of the Rings card game, the one based on the film series, and things like that, but I was obsessed with just the art, and I loved that they were like planet cards, and it looked like this very sort of galaxy-spanning card game, and I was very obsessed with the idea of getting this golden anthology box set that I found in a magazine or something, and I asked for it for Christmas, and instead, and I was convinced that there was a box that was this anthology set. It was almost exactly the same dimensions, and then when I opened it on Christmas morning, it was a copy of Jenga, so that was probably the most disappointing gift I've ever received, and as such, I never got into the Star Wars CCG.
What was your introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? Decipher Star Wars CCG, which my cousin owned, and I was able to play with him.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Next. What is your favorite Star Wars gaming memory, Evan?
Yeah, Evan.
This is the broadest question on here. Well, I'm going to pull out my.
Ooh, no.
I'm not. It's gonna sound very, very gauche, because if I had to pick one that I wasn't gonna have stolen from my mind by an intellect devourer, it would be getting to go to BioWare in Austin.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I remember seeing the pictures that you guys got while you were there. I was a little jealous.
Yeah, and that was very unexpected, because it was like I joined Zach for MER, and he was like, "Okay, we need to put out one episode really quick because we need you to have, actually been on a podcast so that you can go." So that's when we just did the first March Madness, who's going to win in a fight. Well, not the first one that I was a part of. And then it was like, okay, yes, he's an actual podcast person. Now he can come. Great, thanks. And then I had to sign an NDA. And that's the end.
Still very cool.
It is.
Since it's such a broad question, I think mine is a toss-up between any of the times I went to Fantasy Flight Worlds, which will never happen again, as we've discussed in the Future of Organized Play episode a few months ago.
That the year that all three of us went, I would also be hard-pressed to put that up there as well.
It's just so much fun, and we played Loop and Chewy, and there's just a huge crowd of people who are all there just to play Star Wars games, and that's fun. I think my runner-up would probably just be Marathon playing Galactic Conquest in Battlefront 2 in college. 4-player split screen.
That would be pretty good.
Battlefront 2 split screen was the best.
Okay, Leo.
Going to Worlds, it's definitely up there. Any of the times I went, I had a great time. Every time I went, even the first time, even though that one was not like very Star Wars focused, because that was the very first one they did for X-Wing.
That was 2012.
Yeah, because it was the fall right after the game had come out, so the game had only been out for like 3 months, 4 months at that point.
Mm-hmm. And you got a free LCG box.
Yeah, I've got a free copy of the LCG core set for attending as an X-Wing player.
Thank you.
And so there was only like 30 of us. I only won one of my games that day because there wasn't really like a community for the game in my area at the time, so I had hardly played it all. So not surprising that I got my ass kicked. But I still had a lot of fun. And every time I went after that, it got more fun because there was more Star Wars stuff happening. And like you said, eventually they were like, okay, it's Star Wars games only during this weekend. And I thought that was a really cool thing. And then they ruined it. So, so good job on that one, Fantasy Flight. No, I'm fine with them making the world tournaments invite only and splitting that up. I want them to have a Star Wars gaming weekend that gives you that same experience as well.
Right. That'd be great. Even if there's no like glory to be had there, that doesn't matter. That's not.
Yeah. I mean, the one time that I got to go to Worlds, I had no illusions that I was gonna win anything at all, but I still had fun. I got to see both of you and Alan and other people.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
But so besides Worlds, then I think the other thing would, just have to be, honestly, back in like, I don't think it's like really a specific event, but just playing the old CCG. I just loved playing that game. I can never think of a game where I didn't have fun playing it. There's like Magic. I enjoy Magic, but it's pretty easy to get a not fun game of Magic.
Oh yeah.
I never felt the same way playing the CCG.
We had very different experiences.
Yeah, well.
Although the last game, I will always remember that.
Are you talking at Gen Con?
Yeah, at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Why does I feel like there was some unspoken context where like somebody died or like got a lap dance or something.
Oh, he's just talking about because he got to play me and win.
Yeah. That's it.
And now he says that he is never going to play the CCG against me ever again. So that our last game we ever played together was him defeating me.
Exactly.
Which is fair.
I will retire JodoCast champ.
All right, patrons, take it away.
What is your favorite Star Wars gaming memory? I think the coolest thing that I ever got to do was tackling the Corellian Corvette in Star Wars Galaxies when they had the Jump to Lightspeed mod. It was really cool at the time, getting all your friends on TeamSpeak and attacking that with a bunch of friends. It felt like we were making an attack run on the Death Star. It just felt just like the movies.
What was your favorite Star Wars gaming memory? That would be the forming of my guilds in Star Wars The Old Republic. Both of them are very much dead, sadly. Just because the people I had moved on to bigger and better things in real life, according to them. Well, I think they're a little crazy for leaving the game, but that's just me.
What is your favorite Star Wars gaming memory? I think the multiplayer in Jedi Knight really stands out to me. Again, I was really bad and just died a lot, but every once in a while, people would stop shooting and line up for that lightsaber joust, and somehow I somehow sometimes had the timing down where you'd run past each other like two samurai, and sometimes I would be the guy that lived and they would fall down dead 2 seconds later, and that always felt so good.
My favorite Star Wars gaming memory was when I was playing Battlefront with Joe and a couple of other friends, and we were playing against each other on the Galactic Assault. And we went back and forth, but finally my team won. It was a great day, and I think we'd been playing for hours and hours at that point.
What was your introduction to Star Wars tabletop games? My introduction to Star Wars tabletop games would have been the old CCG. And I actually didn't know very many people who played it. We were all into Magic and then Lord of the Rings card game, the one based on the film series and things like that. But I was obsessed with just the art, and I loved that they were like planet cards, and it looked like this very sort of galaxy-spanning card game. And I was very obsessed with the idea of getting this golden anthology box set that I found in a magazine or something, and I asked for it for Christmas, and instead, and I was convinced that there was a box that was this anthology set. It was almost exactly the same. What is your favorite Star Wars gaming memory? My favorite Star Wars gaming memory is either playing a lot of Rogue Squadron with my brother in our little tiny CRT we had our Nintendo 64 hooked up to in my house growing up, or more recently probably playing Edge of the Empire, Star Wars RPG. I'm a huge role-playing game person, so having those kind of like specific stories that are just unique to our group and those really exciting moments are things that I remember just as strongly as maybe some of the biggest moments in Star Wars itself, like the films.
Next question.
Another super broad one. Actually, no, it's super specific. You've got to pick a number one. What is your favorite Star Wars video game? Joe.
Ooh.
I think we know the answer to this one. I'm going to
let you tell me my answer because I don't know what it is.
Your answer for $500 is, what is Star Wars Battlefront 2 2005?
Yeah, I think that's the right answer.
It was either going to be that or Republic Commando.
Yeah,
but based on your previous answer,
I've sunk more hours into Battlefront 2 than any of those other games. So yeah, I'd say the OG Battlefront 2 would be my number one Star Wars game. The correct answer is Star Wars Connect, but I haven't played that yet, so I don't know if that's my favorite.
Star Wars Connect.
Yeah.
What one is that?
What do you mean, what is that? I'm Han
I don't
Solo.
remember.
I really want to dance around to Ain't No... what is it?
See, I was thinking about like some sort of
Ain't
building
No Java
game.
Palace Girl, or
I was thinking of some sort of like like a Lego construction type game, like Connects.
No.
No, you're okay. No. Yes, Connect. Yes,
Star
Connect.
Wars, Star Wars Connects would be interesting.
See,
no, the correct answer is Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. No, not really.
No.
But it was a fun game. I did play a ton of that back in like high school. No, I think my favorite Star Wars game of all time, I think is just going to have to be TIE Fighter.
I was going to say it's either going to be X-Wing or TIE Fighter.
For Star Wars video game, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of other good ones out there, but I don't think there's a Star Wars video game that I've put more time into than TIE Fighter.
When did the first Lego Star Wars game come out? That might be an amended answer to my introduction to Star Wars video games.
Also 2005?
Oh yeah, I think that was Revenge of the Sith. It had Revenge of the Sith in it. So that
yes, because I remember playing that in Iraq. That was the first time I played Lego Star Wars. It was also not quite the first time, but around that same time. It's my favorite video game, which should not be a surprise to anyone. You can get this one.
It's probably Super Bombman Racing.
Try again.
Force Unleashed 2.
No, I couldn't even finish Force Unleashed 2. I tried. Like, I bought it used for, like, maybe $5, and I could not even get through it. I couldn't get through the part on that one where you're just falling down that endless pit, and it just takes forever. It's like, did this pit never end? That was so stupid. I couldn't stand it.
I think there was... Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't have any favorite games.
So yeah, it's...
What?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you mention Knights of the Old Republic even once.
Not even once, huh?
Nope.
Never once have I ever said Knights of the Old Republic is the best game of all time.
The Ewok Village Builder on StarWars.com. One of the little Flash games.
Or the Clone Wars MMO.
Oh yeah, what the hell was that called?
It was Clone Wars MMO, wasn't it?
Wait, was it just called like the Clone Wars?
I think so.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't know. Yeah,
yeah, it was a thing.
I made a character and played for like 15 minutes once.
Ooh, Star Wars
It was like-
Uprising.
I think I made a character and didn't play it at all.
You didn't miss anything.
I didn't think so. But yes, obviously, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. I think, yeah, because I played KOTOR 1 6 times.
So you get to pick 2 games, and we both had to pick one.
Fine.
What is this shit?
KOTOR, I'll take KOTOR 1 over anything else. Number 1 on the side of my car. That's a deep cut to 2003.
Just the year in general.
And what's his nuts? The neighbor of the Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Carl.
There you go.
Carl's the best.
He is the best.
I don't need no instructions to know how to rock.
All right.
Who set this on Head Games?
Pre-recorded patrons, what's your favorite Star Wars video game?
What is your favorite Star Wars video game? I think X-Wing was probably the coolest. There's been better ones in terms of graphics and multiplayer since, but just when I found an online community that, made new missions for the game and they could keep continuing my adventures, it was probably the coolest thing I'd ever found as, a teenager.
What is your favorite Star Wars video game? It's Star Wars The Old Republic. I've never stopped playing that game in the 6 years I have played it, within reason, naturally. And I don't plan to stop playing it because I love it to death. I hope it can go on forever, but all good things come to an end, sadly, and I'm not sure when the end of this is going to be.
What is your favorite Star Wars video game? This is apocryphal, I guess, but I really do like Battlefront 2, especially the Starfighter mode. Really makes me feel like Poe Dameron to swoop around in an X-Wing like that. I really like it.
My favorite Star Wars video game is probably Battlefront 2, though I think I've played through the KOTOR first game campaign quite a bit, so it's pretty close, but probably Battlefront 2, the 2005 version.
What is your favorite Star Wars video game? If I had to go back and pick just one, it's hard. It's hard for me. I think mostly what I've looked for in Star Wars games or what I've really enjoyed. Well, actually, I can tell you this. My favorite Star Wars video game should be KOTOR, or more likely, based on what I've read, KOTOR 2. But for reasons unknown, I completely missed those at the time when they were out. So I haven't really actually played any of them. I've played just the beginning recently of KOTOR 1. So without that there, I would say my favorite Star Wars video game is probably something more along the lines of when I went back to TIE Fighter. I thought that had really cool perspective and a cool story. And then the Rogue Squadron games, just the flying, piloting the ships, and building up the tech. Also Episode 1 Pod Racer on the Nintendo 64, I hold very fondly as well.
What is your favorite Star Wars video game? My favorite video game is probably Knights of the Old Republic. But the Star Wars Old Republic MMO holds more memories of playing with friends and Jodo cast members.
Okay, Joe.
All right, and we're back.
Now for a word from our sponsor, the patrons. Viewers like you.
We could have patrons send in little sound bits. And now a word from our sponsor. And they're just like,
Instead of celebrities, like, you're listening to the Jodo cast. This is Mark Meir from Mass Effect.
I'm Kurt, and yeah, I'm a patron. Keep listening.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Let's put that in our back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we now? Joe.
What is your favorite Star Wars
Color.
tabletop game? Evan.
Give me a second.
Leo.
I've already answered for both of you, and it's the Star Wars CCG.
I was never good at that, except at the time that we played most recently.
Skill is not necessary for enjoyment.
It helps. It helps a lot.
Look, you can make a deck where Yoda rides around on the back of a Jawa. Okay?
You know what? My whole collection consisted of Cantina aliens and I think Dagobah swamp snakes. That's what I got stuck with. And vehicles with no pilots. That's what I had. I had like 4 AT-ATs with no damn pilots.
Yeah, well, why didn't you put some of your, your Cantina aliens in those AT-ATs to pilot them?
I don't think Muftak and Kavi are pilots.
I don't remember, to be honest. But
okay,
so,
if I gotta pick one,
so
it's not CCG. Not CCG.
Oh. No. What?
Not CCG.
You guys don't know how this works.
Apparently I don't. But in the spirit of not knowing how things work, I kind of want to be on brand and say LCG, but I don't think I can. Yes, rest in peace. Thank you. Because we have that macroed in the Discord, folks. So anytime you type SWLCG, a little what's his face pops up and cries over his ring. There you go.
Malakili cries.
Malakili cries. It sounds like an album name or a band, an emo band from the 90s.
The number one.
You know what? It's okay. Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna say Star Wars RPG. I think I have my best memories of Star Wars RPG from when I was just learning how to play Saga. I think those first few games where I was just learning how to play RPGs, and we played Saga, and it was ridiculous beyond words, the things that we did in that game. It was along those same lines of, ridiculously named ships, and like me asking the GM, like, so did they disable our ship, or is everything still running? Like, I'm just going to blow a hole in the Star Destroyer and leave. How does that sound? Can we do that? Great. So, I'm just going to say Star Wars RPG with an asterisk of Saga Edition because those are my fondest memories of it.
I'm going to...
But any RPG.
I'm going to say Imperial Assault. I think that's still a solid answer for me. I feel like it is slowly fading to maybe Legion. I'm enjoying Legion a lot. It just doesn't... Imperial Assault. Imperial Assault's still my number one, even if I don't play it as much as other things these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I play the CCG a lot anymore, but, I mean, there just never will be a game nearly as good as that one, so, I mean, it's going to be my favorite forever.
Oh, dear. What are we going to do with you?
Just send me CCG cards.
Well, I just found the rest of mine, so I'm probably gonna.
Need to bunch of copies of the Jodo cast card and sign them, give them out at JodoCon.
We'll just do what we did back in high school: print off the cards and paste them to actual cards.
That sounds cheaper.
I did that.
Than buying a bunch off eBay.
I did that with Magic. I never did that with the CCG.
I did that with Star Trek CCG.
All right, patrons. Now you tell us, what was your favorite game, and why is it Star Wars CCG?
What is your favorite tabletop game, Star Wars? I'd have to say that it's X-Wing miniatures. I just like dogfighting with my friends. It's pretty cool.
What is your favorite Star Wars tabletop game? I think X-Wing is always going to be my favorite. I just love the dogfighting mechanic of guessing where the other person is going and sort of the basic simplicity of the rules. It's always very fun.
My favorite Star Wars tabletop game is Star Wars Destiny, the card and dice game.
What is your favorite Star Wars tabletop game? My favorite Star Wars tabletop game is definitely Edge of the Empire as well. Well, specifically, overall, the Star Wars RPG, that's the only one I've had time with, though. The role-playing game, that's my favorite sort of dynamic, mostly, of Star Wars, is the sort of scum and villainy angle, the more, how are the people that exist sort of beyond the edges of the Empire, which is an apt name, or the Republic, or whatever time setting you're in, what are just like normal people doing, or how are people trying to get by when they don't fit those sort of established molds we get so much of in the movies. And I love that system gives me ample opportunity to explore, and I think it's actually a pretty good role-playing game system as well.
What is your favorite Star Wars tabletop game? The Star Wars RPG by Fantasy Flight is my all-time favorite, but Legion is a close second.
And let's see. And now we want to know, what's your favorite Star Wars movie, Joe?
It's a safe tie / teeter-totters on the reg between Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back it's definitely top. Number 2 position kind of whiffles and changes, but Empire Strikes Back is still the best.
Rogue One is climbing up my favorites every time I watch it, though. It may be
for sure.
Maybe tied
Rogue
at the top
One.
soon.
Rogue One is a film with a capital F. Like, I know there's a lot of stories about like what we saw wasn't really like the director's idea. Like, there's a lot of fixing going on behind the scenes, but what they came out with was, I think it was production quality wise, like a step up from.
But see, the thing is like I don't, I don't think anybody should judge it on that. Just look at what the end product is. That's all that matters.
Yep.
I mean, it's a sort of the same story with, even like
The first one.
A New Hope.
Yeah, you're right.
If you look at what we got versus his script for the Star Wars, there was a lot of other people along the way who frankly saved us from the Star Wars. If the Star Wars had come out, I feel like it would have just been forgotten. We would be watching that movie on Mystery Science Theater right now.
You're probably right. That would be interesting. I'm surprised they haven't done. Well, I guess Star Wars, Lucasfilm wouldn't do this, but it's the kind of thing that we see from other studios where they'll release an animated version of like an alternate universe telling of something. Like we see that from a lot of DC animated things. It'd be very interesting to see them do an animated version of the Star Wars straight to DVD.
No.
Not a series.
I'd watch
Only if
that.
the animation was really pretty. Because I remember when they released The Star Wars as a Dark Horse comic, and it was ass.
Yeah, the art wasn't that great.
It was not, no. They didn't have
so
Jan
yeah.
DeSerma doing it.
Your Your movie, Evan.
Ugh, I was trying to stall.
I know, that's why we're bringing it back around.
I mean, the easy answer is Rogue One, but I do, of course, I have a soft spot for Return of the Jedi because that was the first one I saw in the theater when I was like 2 years old. So, and yes, I was not a crying baby. I did not ask to like get up and go to the bathroom. I sat there and I just watched that movie. So, you know, I was the right age where the Ewoks were like awesome.
That's every
So
age.
I have. True. I was not a 2-year-old grognard, I'll say that.
Mommy, that thing is stupid. Why are they making this for kids? They're not 3 enough, Mommy.
He should have died in the last one. So, but yeah, so for me, that movie is flawless, and it has gotten more like emotionally powerful as I've gotten older, and there's more context to everything. So I could easily say Return of the Jedi.
What about you? Pointing at the patrons.
You can't see his hand, but he is pointing at you.
They can see.
Oh dear, I worry.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie? I think Empire is the best, but the introduction of Han Solo in A New Hope is probably the coolest thing I've ever watched beyond maybe Raiders of the Lost Ark. But Rogue One is slowly growing on me.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie? Favorite Star Wars movie would have to be Star Wars Episode 3. It was the first Star Wars movie I seen in person in theater. And I have that memory forefront and the back of my mind for the rest of my life. It was a great experience. I loved every minute of it.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie? I'm so bad at picking. Return of the Jedi was always my favorite when I was a kid, and now the Disney ones are all really good. Rogue One, Last Jedi, even Solo, I really like all of them, so it's hard to pick. I don't know if I can really decide.
My favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie? Well, that is... if you want to know my full answer for that, you can listen to The Padawan, the Knight, and the Master series, in which you can hear me build my list starting at episode 1 and going through everything. My favorite Star Wars movie, though, I don't actually remember exactly how my ranking ended up there. I think I probably put one of the original trilogies at number 1. I know this is probably sacrilege for me to say. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll say most commonly, I find myself thinking of scenes from The Last Jedi, although I don't think that's probably my favorite overall movie of the series. But some of the scenes in that movie are just... I spend my time... My brain cooks on them all the time. But Empire Strikes Back, an obvious classic as well.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie? And it would have to be Return of the Jedi.
Well, thank you for those wonderful answers. It was very insightful. Next up, who, or pray tell what?
What was it? Was it an episode of... Oh, yeah. It was an episode of C-Lab where they kept having commercial breaks, like, during the show. Like, they weren't the actual commercials. They had these fake commercials for this restaurant called Grizzlebee's. But every time they would come back from the commercial, like, the host of the show... the host would be like, "What a fun commercial." And that's just like what you reminded me of.
That wasn't Radio Free C-Lab, was it? Like the very, very first one?
No, it was one where it was like, it was supposed to be like a behind the scenes, like, look at how C-Lab gets made.
Oh,
so it was
yeah.
like, they were all supposed to be like the actors playing the characters on C-Lab.
Yeah, I think that was the end of season 1. 20 lives for 20,000? Those are odds I can
No,
live with.
it's 2 lives to save 200. Those are odds I can live with. Captain, we are not chairs. We are not fajitas. We, sir, are actors. Now, get in there and do that scene. Oh my god, I love that show.
I know. I'm sitting right now like, was it like Stormy? Just always sat with his arm like propped up. All right. Next question. Who is your favorite Star Wars character? Leo.
Dash Rendar?
You heard it here. It's canon. It's canonical.
Yeah. Nobody likes Dash Rendar, so obviously we know that I've been replaced by a Skrull.
But they're good guys now.
Yeah, but they could still replace you.
That's true.
Man, favorite character? I don't know. I mean, I like Jaina Solo a lot.
Oh, wait, we already know the answer to this one.
What?
Isn't it George Lucas's favorite character?
Ayla Sakura.
Darth Talon?
Your favorite character is Mara Jade.
Yeah. I'd say Jaina Solo is second favorite though.
Mm-hmm. And
Followed
then
up
Thrawn.
Followed up by Thrawn, and then Jodo cast in fourth place.
Ooh.
And Thrawn dressed up as Jodo cast
In fifth?
like in 3.5. He slots in.
I'm a dude
Mr.
dressed
Joe.
up as a dude pretending to be another dude. I think that was the line. I think I have there's always a top 5 of characters that swirl around, but I think I can put Obi-Wan Kenobi in my top spot, specifically younger /
General Kenobi.
Clone Wars era Obi-Wan is my man. But old Ben is fine too. I think Chopper and maybe Ahsoka kind of float around in the region underneath that.
They in Obi-Wan's nether regions. They float around.
Oh.
Boba Fett used to be my number one. He's been kind of fading lately.
Yeah, what happened to that?
He's not doing anything these days. He's kind of retired from being super cool.
Yeah, thanks, Clone Wars.
I mean, that's not even what kept him from, being chased by the Bounty Hunters Guild or, being chased down by everybody while transporting Han Solo. All those stories could still happen. They just haven't.
Boba Fett still has a special place in my ranking. He's near the top, but he's not the tippity top anymore.
He's in the Hall of Fame. He's no longer being ranked. He's just retired.
Also, I like having really side characters near my top. Like, Sidon Ethano is one of my favorites, and Skippy, R5D4. Love him.
I mean, all you got to do is look at our little pictures on the Discord, and they can probably get a pretty good idea. Although Leo's for a while was Thrawn, if I'm remembering correctly. For my character, judging by what I just said, it would be Revan, which is an odd choice since he is in KOTOR. He or she is just what we project onto them, and the choices that we make for them informs that character. But I mean that makes an impact.
So you are your favorite Star Wars character.
Yes,
that's very deep, Evan.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think we're all our own favorite
Evan's
Star Wars
favorite
character.
Star Wars character.
I thought that the job they did with him and some of the SWTOR stuff was pretty good too. Like I dug when he came back. Spoilers. But like from more mainstream characters, Obi-Wan, like Clone Wars era Obi-Wan, even though I grow more and more irked with the writing that they gave him as time has gone on. Like he gets, even old Obi-Wan, in retrospect, like some of his fortune cookie lines are just dumb as balls. And I want to strangle the people who wrote those, because it's like that skit from SNL where they were trying to come up with fortune cookie sayings, and they were just dumb as hell. That's how I feel a lot of Obi-Wan's lines are.
You're really way too hung up on the Sith absolutes.
I mean, that's not the only one. That's not the only one.
You might like one of the Star Wars fan film award winners this year. It was like a kind of a parody on the scene where Luke and Obi-Wan sit down on Dagobah and like talk it out, and Luke's like, "What?" it's pretty good.
I probably would. That's the other scene I'm thinking of. It's just like, Obi-Wan, you're not doing yourself any favors.
I don't know. My one and only tattoo is
like,
an Obi-Wan quote, so I'm sticking with my boy.
That's very reasonable. I thought that his representation in Clone Wars was just far and away my favorite. His performance, James Arnold Taylor, right? I'm not talking out my butt. Just gave so much nuance and depth and life to that character that I love Ewan McGregor, but Clone Wars really, was a home run.
And
especially by the end.
I hated Clone Wars Obi-Wan.
His one episode in Rebels, I'm just going to move on and ignore that. His one episode in Rebels was just epitome, like peak Obi-Wan. Like his relationship with Maul.
Yes.
Maul coming back is the dumbest decision that has had the best results. Just the way he had to deal with Maul is like, yeah, he's just peak Jedi. Because he watches Maul kill his lady, and he sits there and he's got to take it. And then in Rebels, he like puts Maul down and like holds him while he dies. And like after everything Maul did to him, he's still like not angry at him. Just maximum light side.
He'd max out his light side points.
He saw the little like dialogue option pop up, and it had like in Mass Effect where the blue option is highlighted. You got to pick that one.
Okay, patrons, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Or what?
Could be a guy. Or what? If you pick Gonk Droid, that is correct. If you pick Dash Rendar, that is incorrect.
What is your favorite Star Wars character? It's Han Solo. No need for any expounding on that one. He's the coolest guy ever.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character? Man, I have no idea. I'm so bad at picking favorites, and there's so many good characters in Star Wars. I feel like Luke is the easy default, especially after Last Jedi. Like, they really had a good ending for him that wrapped up his whole storyline in great ways.
My favorite Star Wars character is Ahsoka Tano.
Who is your favorite Star Wars character? My favorite Star Wars character, once again, if you'd like to listen to The Padawan, the Knight, and the Master, you can hear me talk for maybe over 3 hours total, probably, over the course of the new trilogy, Kylo Ren. Extremely interesting character. When I say favorite, that's not like I like the guy, I'd want to hang out with the guy, but that is, I think that he... Oh god, everything's beeping. That's not that I would want to hang out with the guy, or I like him in the way that I sometimes see people really go like gung-ho about Empire Republic. I just think he's a very, very interesting character. I think he's a really interesting sort of pseudo-villain. I don't really think he's the villain as much as he is an antagonist to the main characters, but he just has so much interesting stuff going on, and his expectations of who he should be, and how he feels he should be, and the idea of him being drawn to the light side and kind of rejecting that, being such a opposite of what we've seen before in Star Wars. Definitely Kylo Ren by a mile. He also has a really cool lightsaber. People who think it's not cool are lying.
Oh, wow, that's
my
interesting.
turn?
That was some interesting choices. Thanks for sharing those.
Except for that one. That one was
One of them.
That was pretty controversial. I'm not sure we should have allowed that to air.
Is it my turn?
Somebody.
Is it your turn? Do I talk?
Why don't we just do every other word? What?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Radio Lab it.
Yeah. Okay. What's Star Wars? No, don't. Just don't. What Star Wars gaming thing are you most looking forward to?
Right now?
Right now.
Right
this
now.
moment.
Listen to your heart.
Yes.
I think it's just Clone Wars stuff for Legion, and not Fallen Order, but Fallen Order's footage that'll be coming at E3. That's what I'm looking forward to right now. So I'm not looking forward to the game as much as I'm looking forward to actually getting usable information about the game to inform how much I should be looking forward to the game. But mostly Clone Wars Legion.
I think that's probably is it I'm trying to decide if the thing I'm looking forward to in Star Wars gaming right now the most is Clone Wars stuff in Legion, or if I'm looking forward to the day when someone who's not EA gets to make Star Wars video games.
Oh yeah, that is a big one.
That's something I'm looking forward to.
We might
a
have
lot.
to have like a little party when the license expires.
We should buy an expensive bottle of whiskey with the patron money and then hold on to that so that when EA does lose the license, we'll pop that boy open.
You have to buy
you hear that, patrons? That's what you're funding us buying.
You have to
booze.
buy a bottle that
So,
was
thanks.
bottled the year they started their license.
Ah, there you go. It's a great idea.
The year the contract was signed. So it'll have aged with, the 3 games we've gotten.
So what? It's supposedly supposed to. What's the what? Supposedly a 10-year.
Yeah, I think 2023
exclusivity.
it's done.
So yeah, so 2023 we'll have to buy ourselves a 10-year-old whiskey. So see, you don't even have
There
to
you
get
go.
that expensive.
Yeah, that's not that bad. I guess I still have to answer this question. Boy. I think that the thing that I see just perusing social media that makes me stop and spend time looking at it are the fan-made LCG.
Rest in peace.
Because there have been some sweet ones, and they're really well thought out. They're really good. They got good art. They're new stuff. They're just so brilliantly put together by people who obviously love the game. But for something,
Hey, no, that's a legitimate choice. You don't have to. I mean, that can be your thing.
that's true. But considering how much I freaking love painting now, I am looking forward to Sabine and Bosk quite a bit. More so than Clone Wars, because I'm just looking forward to having cool, new operatives to add, because I'm finally getting close to 800 point armies on both sides. And
You got to pick up that X-34 land speeder. That one was I really enjoyed painting that one.
that's one of those ones I'm just like, no, thank you.
But it's cool.
Is it?
Yeah.
Leo, is it cool?
That's pretty cool. I sliced my hand open last
He
night.
bled
working on
for it.
It's- yeah.
Well, I sliced my hand cutting onions last night. I am literally missing a chunk of flesh and a chunk of thumbnail.
Did it fall into whatever you were making?
Boy, that's a really good question. I didn't check.
Did you self-cannibalize?
Man, my wife hates when I bleed in the food.
I would
Does that
too.
happen frequently?
More often than I would like.
I'm picturing
If
you
it's
cutting
like-
things, but using your hand as the cutting board and going, ouch, 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 ouch.
Ow, quit it. Ow, quit it. I mean, most things you could probably hide it pretty well, but like if you're making Alfredo and you're like, why is this sort of a pinkish Alfredo?
Pink peppercorns. Okay, don't worry about it.
Sitting in the corner holding like a stump. No, just it's fine.
Just call me Mr. Butterfinger.
I like to tell my students to hold it in their mouths until they get to the hospital. Oops.
Would you look at that? Okay, patrons. What are you looking forward to right now, right this second?
Or right when you record
Yeah,
your
which
audio.
might have been a
files.
week or 2 weeks ago. Sorry to ruin the magic of editing.
What Star Wars gaming thing are you most looking forward to right now? Honestly, all I really want is a PC game that I like in some way, that I can enjoy. It's been a really long time.
What Star Wars gaming thing are you most looking forward to right now? What I'm most looking forward to right now is the new expansion coming for Star Wars The Old Republic, which is called Onslaught, where we get to go to Dantooine and Duxon for an operation. I have had the ability to jump onto the public test server and explore Dantooine, and I can tell you it is going to be enjoyable like no tomorrow just to explore that planet.
What Star Wars gaming thing are you most looking forward to right now? I don't know, skip. There's cool things from all the games, so I have no idea. Skip that one.
My favorite Star Wars gaming thing that I'm looking forward to right now is the upcoming set for Star Wars Destiny, which is featuring a plot that lets Rey and Kylo team up despite being on the dark side.
What Star Wars gaming thing are you most looking forward to right now? The Star Wars gaming thing I'm most looking forward to is Respawn's new game, the Fallen Order, I believe it's called, Jedi Fallen Order. I have loved all of their games, up through Apex Legends most recently. Obviously, this is a very different thing for them, but I'm excited to sort of get a return to the single player, more like the Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. I played a lot of all those and loved them, so I'm excited to get a more concrete story, hopefully a little bit of good action, maybe a little bit of role-playing elements in there. That's definitely the biggest thing on the horizon, I think, for me.
What Star Wars gaming thing are you most looking forward to right now? And the answer for that would be the Clone Wars core set for Legion.
And so now we got one last question, but I don't think it makes sense to have us answer it at all because
I have an answer.
We all know that all three of us are going to say Leo for what is your favorite thing about the Jodo cast. So,
I mean, that's certainly a top 3.
okay, Evan, you said you have an answer.
Yes. My favorite thing about the Jodo cast is that it is a force for good, for helping, for making sure that I stay in contact with my good friends. And because if I didn't have that, if I was left to my own devices, I would probably become a hermit. And since I even just work at home now, I would just lock the door, close the blinds, and just stay in my own little world, in my own little shell, and maybe not talk to my awesome friends, Leo and Joe. And I've known Leo for 20 odd years now, maybe even 20 plus, depending on who you're asking and how drunk we are. But I am also very thankful that I have a friend in Joe. It has been a great several years. In fact, it's coming up on 5. It's coming up on 5 years.
Oh, wow. It would be 20 plus because it would have been 97.
There you go.
Because it was sophomore year of high school.
You're right.
When we first met. So, well, sophomore year for me.
For you.
I guess it
Junior
would've been
year
junior
for
for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's when I was starting college.
Oh well, that's too good of an answer. Now
My
I
pick
feel like
is.
I can't really follow that one up.
I think I'm going to say Leo is my answer.
All right, good.
That's a good
Glad we
answer.
got
That's a
this-
good answer. Yeah.
Glad we got this episode back on track.
I will say I do
Leo, you
love
can say
being
Leo.
able to come on here.
I
and
love the Discord.
I do. Our Discord is
Having-
great most of the time, like 90% of the time.
Yeah, except for
yeah.
like when Joe's posting those stupid pictures.
Facebook memes.
No, but he posts those little
I only post those to
clip
make
art
you mad.
things of.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we know.
No, the Discord
I
is
know.
fun. I love that this has become a place for, people the Discord in particular, for people to come and talk about common interests. And the podcast it's really fun to just get together and talk about the Star Wars games all the time, because that's what I spend most of the time thinking about. It's neat. But
It really is.
our patrons,
But don't take our word for it.
yeah, let our patrons tell, because I would hope.
No, damn it, Joe, you just ruined
What?
it. You just.
I mean, this editing
I suppose
is possible.
it's another symptom of him just being too damn young. You don't.
I watched Reading
You never
Rainbow
watched-
growing up. God, when were
Okay.
you watching Reading Rainbow when you're in high school?
Reading Rainbow's old as man. I was watching it as a child too. Okay, all right, fine. So you know what Reading Rainbow is. Congratulations.
Man, at least, you're assuming I don't have certain, pop culture references. There's, some people, I was at a conference and everyone is, baby boomers, and they're like, oh, do you even know what a landline is? And I'm like, what? Just some old people assuming you don't know things that existed in, the early 2000s. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not quite old enough or young enough for that, but I did see not that long ago a kid, one of my friend's kids, asked his mom why the make a call and hang up a call buttons on the cell phone look the way they do. They look like the
The handset.
old style handset.
Mm-hmm.
And he was all like, why is there this on the button? Because he didn't know. And she's like, that's because that's what, a telephone looked like. And he's all like, no, it doesn't.
Did you just tell him to Google phone and then call it there? Okay, let's guess. If I type in the word phone, is the first picture a cell phone or a phone? Image. Uh-oh.
Yep, it's all cell
man, yeah.
phones.
Oh,
I take it back.
Oh,
It's-
that's
Touche
discouraging.
2019.
No,
Yeah,
you failed us.
If you
Oh,
scroll down a
man.
little bit, you can get some old ass Nokia stuff, but it's still, and a flip phone there, but it's still all cell phones.
Oh, there's an office phone. So that counts.
There's a Zach Morris cell phone there. That's cool. I got a Zach Morris cell phone before I got an actual landline phone.
See, old rotary dial phones, those are apparently...
The one I've heard recently is someone asking why they had a 3.5 inch floppy, and they asked their parent, why does that plastic thing look like the save icon?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. There was our tangent for the episode.
And now,
Assuming it gets left in. I don't know if it will.
so patrons, now it's your turn to tell us just how great we are.
See, I'm going to say, I assume there must be something that they like about us if they are supporting us in the way that they do and took the time to send in these answers. I'm expecting something from the heart. It's going to make us feel really good. It doesn't help to be threatening to something that they've already recorded.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about the Jodo cast? I like just listening to you guys nerd out on these things that I like too. It feels like, we're all hanging out together even though I'm not actually there. It's cool that you guys have a really cool Patreon and Discord community and that we can kind of have input and chat with you, and it just feels like a little community den or something like that. And of course it's Star Wars related and gaming related, which I like as well.
What is my favorite thing about the Jodo cast? Well, they've got a good name, great play on words. Guys are great to talk to. It's an enjoyable environment in their Patreon channel. And the Discord in general. Great guys if you want to talk to about Star Wars gaming information, or even Star Wars information in general. I can't recommend them enough.
What is your favorite thing about the Jodo cast? The best thing about the Jodo cast is definitely the community. I love getting onto Discord every day and chatting with people, and almost everyone is super nice and cool. Thanks, see you later, and may the Force be with you.
And my favorite thing about the Jodo cast is how different and weird the hosts are, which generally seems to be pretty hilarious, but they all care about Star Wars and Star Wars games, which is great, which brings us all together as patrons of the Jodo cast. Thank you, Jodo cast. I appreciate all of you.
What is your favorite thing about the Jodo cast? My favorite thing about the Jodo cast is that they're nice enough to have me on occasionally and to rant actually on the feed, on the recording, which is an honor, although it has been a while at this point. But really my favorite thing actually is getting to listen in live and kind of riff and see how many times I can get them to break down and laugh during the recording, which I'm sure is much more entertaining for me than it is for everybody else. But it's fun just to kind of I think they have a good breakdown of really in-depth topics if you're a person who gets really, really into a game, but they also bounce around and do silly things like Clumsy and Random, or some of the different painting competitions when we were doing all the Extra Life stuff, and all that stuff's kind of fun too. So it's a good show and a good community for the most hardcore, I think, to the most casual. That's my recording, folks. Bye-bye.
What is your favorite thing about the JodoCast? I have been with the JodoCast since the beginning, and I've enjoyed getting to know them personally and through the podcast. I like their strong dislike for Troy Denning, Leo's love for the Decipher CCG, Evan's unrequited love of the LCG, and Joe's mini painting and Battlefront skills. So I really appreciate you guys, and I'm thankful to get to know you personally and get to be a part of such an awesome Star Wars community. Here's to 100 more episodes, and may the Force be with you.
All right, that's the last of the questions, and thank you again to the patrons who got us their answers, and of course, thank you to all the other patrons as well. Past and present and future. The future is unwritten.
Hey, during the editing, make sure you put like a cool echo on future.
Future. No fate. The future is just what we make of it, or whatever that Eddie Furlong said in Terminator 2. In any event, thank you so much, listeners, patrons. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Joe. You are all
Evan.
You're very welcome.
Salutes.
It's my pleasure.
That was me narrating my action.
Everyone press F for Evan.
And so raise your glasses wherever you are at this moment. Raise your cups, raise your glasses, raise your if you're running and you're listening to this right now, stop and grab your water bottle.
I've got a Farah action figure on my desk. That's going to have to count.
A water bottle and Islane's Energy Frostberry Blast.
I have an empty mug that had hot chocolate in it, but it is a Star Wars Original Trilogy poster mug with a lightsaber handle from Disney. And we will raise a cup and glass or liquid container or action figure.
Yep, wait, I do have some liquid. I've got a bingo dauber on my desk, so that's the liquid I've got.
All right. Here's to 100 plus episodes, since there were lots of other ones. And here's to 100 more. And whatever that may entail, if you want to guide the future of this show, you too can become a patron and tell us what you want to hear from us, how you want us to speak, and how you would like us to say the things that we say. That's not true. We will take everything under advisement, but we appreciate your input. Cheers!
Cheers.
Bye-bye!
Sláinte.
Bum, 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 bum,
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. No, this is where we need Christian doing his end credits music.
That's right.
Ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-da-da-da-da-da-ba-ba-da-da.